Darkcast Network. Welcome to the dark side of podcasts.
Content warning ahead. This podcast contains very sensitive topics such as missing persons, unsolved cases, haunted houses, and paranormal activity. These type of topics can contain very upsetting, sensitive details and stories. Please listen responsibly. Welcome to Misty Mysteries, a podcast in the business of ghostly spooks and chilling crimes. I'm your host, Keely, and today's topic has taken a turn from what I had originally planned. I actually had a missing persons case prepared to share today, but right before recording, I got news from the family that they have been found during a traffic stop in Arizona. So with this news, I wanted to do something a bit lighter with a list of 5 odd and sort of weird unsolved crimes.
I'm Jackie Moranti, and I produce a podcast called Cause of Death, 100 Seconds to Midnight. Have you ever read or watched any post-apocalyptic fiction? Were you one of the first people to see The Road or I Am Legend when they came out? Do you wonder if those things could really happen? Could the world as we know it be toppled by a disease, a global crisis, or a natural disaster? I assure you that it could. My show talks about the precursors to apocalyptic events. I like to call it pre-apocalyptic nonfiction. I talk about history and how we never learned from it, the present and how we tend to ignore every warning sign, and the future and what it will mean if we don't take care of our resources. The hands of the doomsday clock have been set at 100 seconds to midnight for 3 years now. Can we make the hands turn back? Cause of Death, 100 Seconds to Midnight can be found wherever you listen to podcasts.
Let's kick off this episode going from some of these crimes with a bit more of a serious aspect to them to the more weird and ridiculous ones. Starting off with an unknown criminal known as the Phantom Barber. During the year of 1949, the town of Pensacola was hit with a series of crimes, leaving citizens worried for their hair and safety. The first crime in this series started at Our Lady of Victory Convent, when 2 young girls, Mary Evelyn Briggs and Edna Mary Heidel, woke up to find a man crawling out of their bedroom window. The girls, obviously terrified from what they woke up to, realized they were injured and nothing seemed to be taken from them except their hair. The man that broke into their room had cut the 2 girls' hair in their sleep before being caught as he was climbing out of the window. Mary was able to describe the unknown man to the police, but it didn't seem to help because this unknown man, deemed the Phantom Barber, struck again when he snuck into the bedroom of 6-year-old Carol Petiti. Carol didn't wake up to this man in her room like the first 2 girls, but when she woke up to discover her hair was missing, her parents and police were quick to discover that whoever broke in and cut her hair did so by cutting the screen out of her bedroom window. But without evidence or clues to who this Phantom Barber is, he was able to strike 2 more times. Only a few days after Carol's late-night haircut, Terrell Heldenberg and his wife woke up to find an unknown man that is believed to be the Phantom Barber in their room. Terrell was able to fight him off before he could cut the couple's hair or potentially harm them by hitting the unknown man with an iron pipe. If this was the Phantom Barber, he could have potentially been scared because he subdued his next and last victim, Ari Taylor, with chloroform while in the process of cutting her hair and taking off with the hair he had just cut. None of the victims of this Phantom Barber saw the assailant except Mary on the first night he struck, although the attack on the couple did lead to who the police thought was the Phantom Barber. After weeks of terror in the town caused by this Phantom Barber, the police homed in on a chemist named William Dolan, who had issues with the couple. When they went to arrest this man, the police discovered human hair near his home. Now, at this point, they did not have DNA testing, but the human hair definitely put him on the list of suspects for this Phantom Barber. He was arrested and charged with assault and attempted murder, but he did maintain his innocence. It was never proven or disproven that Dolan was or wasn't the Phantom Barber. The time he served was for the attack on the couple, but maybe out of fear, or Dolan maybe really was the Phantom Barber, No one in town seemed to become victims of these late-night haircuts ever again after his arrest. This next crime doesn't involve any hair cutting, but it does involve sharp objects in a different way. In late December of 2015, a 42-year-old Queens, New York resident was boarding a train at the Forest Hill Avenue station around 7:10 p.m. when another passenger of the train bumped into his butt with a hard object. When the Queens man got off the train at Union Turnpike Kew Garden Station, the other passenger who bumped into him followed him off the train, where the man then bumped into the Queens man's butt multiple times with the hard object felt before. The Queens man didn't initially feel pain after the incident till he got home and discovered he had been stabbed when this man bumped into him by seeing blood all over his pants. The Queens man reported what happened to him, and he was taken to the Forest Hill Hospital, where they discovered 3 half-inch puncture wounds on his left butt cheek and 1 half-inch puncture wound on his right butt cheek. The police were never able to discover why this man stabbed the 42-year-old's butt cheeks or what was used in the stabbing. It doesn't seem like the attacker was found, but the victim was able to describe him as a 25-year-old man around 6 foot tall, wearing a red and black checkered coat, a Oakland Raider shirt, and black pants. He also had a cast on his right hand. I can't find any more information on how to report this man if you do know who he is, but I hope that the Queens man, and as the news described, his buns of steel, are able to find comfort while riding the subway. Shifting to another crime with yet another sharp object, let's jump to February 28, 2015. On this day, the Amsterdam Cheese Museum had just finished up a long day of cheese festivities, with many guests making their way through the museum when the guards patrolling the floor noticed something was missing. The thing missing was the most expensive cheese slicer. And yes, you heard that right. This cheese slicer was created as a special project between Bosca, a Dutch cheeseware maker, and a jewelry designer in 2007. The cheese slicer is encrusted with 220 diamonds and cost only the low price of $26,000. With such a beautiful cheese slicer, the museum has gotten many offers over the years from those who can afford such a thing. But the museum and the creator's mission with this cheese slicer was to keep it on display for the general public, moving in and out of the museum, to see throughout time. It even sits in a huge display case that's pretty darn hard to miss. It's covered in lights to let those diamonds sparkle. So you can imagine when the cheese slicer was missing, it truly became a shock. Luckily, with a case this large in size and popularity, there were definitely cameras on this, which caught the team of suspects in the act. Sketches were made of these suspects, but the suspects have yet to be caught, and no sightings of the cheese slicer have been reported just yet. Tips helping to identify the suspects or the location of the cheese slicer are very welcomed at this point, and any informant who leads to the return of this sparkly cheese slicer will be rewarded with a cheese gift basket and the world's largest commercially available fondue set. In other cheesy crime news, we go over to Germany for what is described as a severe pizza stalking. In January of 2018, a German lawyer attempted to press charges against an anonymous person who had been bombarding him from the moment he would wake up with deliveries of pizza, sushi, sausage, and Greek food, starting off with only pizza and eventually spreading out to a variety of food. He told a local German newspaper that he received orders all throughout the day, orders for him by this anonymous person. At the time that he filed the charges against this anonymous person, he had already received over 100 pizzas. This bombardment of food was affecting his work and his life. I get it in theory, it would be nice to get free food, but one person can only eat so much if you feel safe eating the food being sent to you by an anonymous person who's harassing you with food. It leads to a lot of food waste and stress of constant deliveries that would pop up on his phone. I really couldn't find any follow-ups on this case, if this person was caught or if it stopped, but I hope for his safety and mental health that whoever was doing this has been stopped or caught. Our last very odd crime for today is yet another food-related crime, so maybe I was hungry when I wrote this, or most odd crimes revolve around food. In August of 2018, in Fayetteville, Georgia, a 53-foot trailer parked at a gas station became the victim of what to me may be the most expensive heist of a very cheap item. This trailer was carrying an unnamed brand of ramen noodles. The criminal who took these noodles got away with $99,000 worth of noodles. Now, this was back in 2018, so prices are different than what they are today, but based on the math, this means someone took off with around 300,000 packages of ramen noodles without being seen or caught. What this person did with all these noodles, I and many others have no clue, but there is no shortage of guessing. Personally, I like to think maybe this person or persons pulled a Robin Hood, giving noodles to those in need, or a bunch of hungry stoners and college students were in on this together and set on some ramen noodles for a long time. I don't think we will ever truly know, but I do hope that whoever stole these noodles for their own health shared the love with others. And just like that, these odd and weird true crimes have come to an end. If you like this podcast, please don't forget to help out by showing simple support like sharing the episode or leaving a kind review. I will be back next time for more ghostly spooks and chilling crimes.